Hey everybody, welcome back. It's Brandon Clifford here again on day 4 of the Franchise Buyers course. I'm excited to be speaking with you again. I appreciate you taking your time to go through this journey with me. And the last few days we reviewed a lot of good information. I hope you found it insightful and educational. Talking about the why of franchising, the what of franchising, did a little bit of history on franchising 101. And today we're going to talk about a topic. What is a franchise consultant? Talk about me a little bit. What I do, how I can help you with your research, and how I can add value to your franchise business search. So to just kind of review a little bit of the growth of the franchise world, of course, we talked about it before. There's a huge wave going on in franchising right now. Franchising accounts for about 3% of the U.S. GDP. One of every 12 businesses in the country right now is a franchise business. And, this wave of franchising has been growing rapidly, especially over the last 2 years where it's just really kind of exploded. And of course, with this growth, with all these people trying to jump onto the franchise ship, comes a lot of confusion. So if right now you went onto Google and you Googled franchise opportunities to try to find the right franchise for you, you come up with 36 million links. And unfortunately, all those links, all those lists that you see out there, they're all sales driven. It's all the top list, the best list, the top 100, fastest growing, best for women, best for veterans, whatever you want to see them. So it's really hard for someone to figure out how do you really find the right fit for you. How do you know that someone didn't just pay to be number 5 on the top 100 global franchise list on Franchise Direct? Because quite frankly, a lot of times that's what happens. And you start thinking about franchises and looking at different ones out there, going down the entrepreneur top 500 list, and you try to think about, okay, well, how do I get started? Do I just start with the business name, or do I think about the business model? What should I do? And quite frankly, a lot of people start with the business name. They think about ones that they're familiar with. They think about what kind of products they like to buy. What kind of food do they like to eat? How does it make them feel? How does it make them think? And quite frankly, that line of thinking is really driven by emotion. And anyone knows that making a business decision based on emotion is a recipe for disaster. So what I like to do is I like to start with a business model. I want my clients, my candidates to think about how many employees they want to have. Think about what kind of a location do they want to have. Do they want it to be a retail type store? Are they looking for something that's home based where you can work from home? Something that's mobile, whether it's business to business or business to customer. Think about how much money they're currently making and how much money they want to make in the future. Find out how much money they have to start their business. Talk about finances a lot. Figure out, as early in the process, how big of a budget you're working with, because that's obviously the most important thing. Think about who your customers are going to be. Are you comfortable working business to business and dealing with other business owners, or do you want to be, working directly with the customer? And then also think about what your whole lifestyle, your whole financial picture. What do you like to do for fun? Do you like to have your weekends? And then think about, what you're good at, what your skill set, lends to make sure you're finding a role that you're going to be successful in. And that's really the value that a franchise consultant can bring. I can help you save some money, avoid making a costly error in choosing the wrong franchise that perhaps you end up failing. So we're gonna save your resources and make sure you're only pursuing those that are optimal, not just for you. I help you save some time. You don't have to go through the 36 million links on Google. All right, I spend my time sorting through all the franchise options to come up with 3 or 5 that are really the right fit for you. You can have a little bit of security in your decision making. You know that if I'm eliminating the systems that aren't the right fit, you can focus on the ones that are, to really feel like you made a nice, confident, solid decision, educated investment decision. And use my knowledge. I have business ownership experience. I also have specialized knowledge of the franchise space that you can use for my benefit. It would take you years, of research. This is what I do, franchising all day, every single day. And then during the process, I can really be an objective third-party facilitator. I can be that shoulder to lean on if you just need someone to talk through, whether it's fears you're having, to help you with your financing, help you get a loan, just kind of, compare and contrast different options. And I'm not necessarily trying to sell you anything. I don't sell any specific franchise brands. I'm not brand specific. So that way I can really look out for you and your best interests. So what's my role during the process? And a good franchise consultant, their number one goal, during the whole entire process is really just to educate you. Okay, like I mentioned before, I'm not selling any franchise concepts. What I'm doing is I'm educating people on the franchise business model, and then I'm educating them enough about specific brands so that they can make smart investment decisions. And that's really it. So my job is to educate you about franchising and really get to know you. Interview you, profile. Build your profile, discuss that profile so that we can match you with an optimal match. And then follow up. You told me your goal was that you want to own a business, so I'm going to follow up with you and help you reach that goal, because a lot of people, they lose sight of their goals, and they never get to that finish line. They never end up owning a business. They always say, oh, I want to be a business owner, I want to own my own business, I want to own a franchise, but then they don't get there. Okay? Sometimes you need someone who's going to push you a little bit, give you a little bit of a kick in the butt to get you to the finish line. Identify what kind of characteristics are most important to you. We talked about that a minute ago. Really find out what an ideal business might be. Talk about making a list of non-negotiables and then going out there and finding it for you. Match you with your qualifications with appropriate systems. As much as you're looking for the perfect fit, the perfect business that's going to help you be successful, franchisors are also looking for their ideal franchisees. They don't want just anyone who can afford the franchise fee. They want franchisees that are going to be successful and grow the royalty pool. So my job is to be that matchmaker, to match your qualifications with the appropriate systems. And then help you with the selections, of those brands to learn about, and make an introduction to the appropriate personnel at a franchisor. So when you're working with me, you're not going to be just a number off the internet. I'm going to give a call to the franchisor, introduce you, kind of present a nice little package about you and prop you up a little bit so they know that you're a serious buyer, someone that they want to pay attention to, and that you're going to be a great franchisee for them someday. And then during the process, I act as a buffer between you and the franchisor, just help with information exchange. It's kind of like I've used this analogy before, like you're dating. So the first call will be like the first date. And I'm the person who set up the blind date. So after the first date, I'm going to find out if you like them and if they like you, and go back and forth and kind of help you guys communicate with each other. So now, how do I do this? What's my process? How do I take someone from day one, first getting to know them, all the way up into helping them reach their goal of business ownership? So it's a pretty lengthy process. It can be a timeline as quick as 6 weeks. Sometimes even 4 weeks, but typically it's 8 weeks or more. Can be as long as 8 months, a year, 3 years. It's really not my timeline. It depends on the person and what their life situation's like and what their goals are. So the step one is just the first contact, get to know one another. Discuss my background, what makes me qualified to be a franchise consultant, let you ask some questions about me, and talk about the process. And then in step two, it really kind of turned the tables, and I try to get to know you. I dive in really deep, determine what an ideal franchise might be for you, get you to start thinking about business ownership, try to get to know you, the full picture too, your financial picture, what sort of a pond we should be fishing in, also what sort of lifestyle you like to lead. Are you the kind of person that likes to have their weekends off, or do you want to work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week? Because all those things are important. And then I really go to work and I do some research. I review your core values assessment that you take, which is a really great tool that we're going to talk about in a little while here. I review your CQ, your questionnaire that you fill out for me, and notes from the consultation to come up with 3 or 5 different franchises that are going to make sense for you. Then I reach out to the brands. I do some territory checks, have an initial discussion with them to make sure that there's a potential fit before I share those brands with you, which I do in step 4 for the franchise overview. During that time, I share a 30,000-foot overview. 3 to 5 franchise brands are available in your territory. They're going to be available in your price range, and they're going to be available in your wheelhouse as far as the skill set's concerned. So it's really going to be an ideal match, And then typically I have my clients pick one of those 5. At the most I'll allow them to pick 2. And I do that for a reason, because like I said, it's kind of like dating. And if you go out with four people on the first date, it makes it hard to pick who you want to go on a second date with. So you just start with 1 or 2, and we're in the information gathering stages anyway. it's really just a chance for us to learn about franchising and learn about these brands, And if you choose not to move forward to the second one, that's fine. We can go back and revisit one of those other 5 franchises, or I'd be more than happy to repeat, steps 3 through 5 again, and come up with three more franchises for you. And I've had candidates that I've worked with that they select one out of the first 5, and then they go through the process and they end up purchasing that franchise. And I've had others that I've gone through steps 3 through 5 4 times. So we might have initial discussions about 15 or 20 franchises before they actually pick the right one. And that's totally fine with me. It's your timeline, not mine. And then we move on to step 6, which is due diligence. So after that first call with a franchisor, where you decide, okay, I've dove a little bit deeper into the brand. It seems like something that would interest me. I want to move through the process. You start your due diligence. So you review the FDD. You'll call existing franchisees. Put together a pro forma. To make sure you're going to be able to make the kind of money that you want to make. I'll help you write your business plan if you choose. Refer you to an attorney to review the franchise agreement if you like. Connect you with a lender to make sure your financing's in process, and kind of just stay with you every step of the way up until you sign that franchise agreement. And then even after the franchise agreement, I stay involved. I stay close. We develop a really strong relationship, and I work. It's funny. I mentioned that it's going to be a very intimate relationship between you and I for about 8 weeks, where we're going to be constantly texting each other, emailing each other, calling each other. So it's hard to let go after those 8 weeks. And so, my past clients, I still, promote them on social media. I do press releases every once in a while for them to kind of help promote their business, and, offer just general consulting, just to kind of, help them out with best practices to get off the ground effectively and quickly. So the CVI assessment, I've kind of alluded to it a little bit on this, so I wanted to kind of touch upon it real quickly. I think there's a lot of misconceptions these days about passion in business, and quite frankly, everyone always says, you need to find something that you have a passion for. Oh, you need to be passionate about your work. You got to find your passion, yada, yada, yada. And it's really kind of can be a little bit of a BS, in my opinion, and I think that passion really comes from doing something that you're good at. And if you can find a role where you'll excel and find fulfillment in that role, you're going to be passionate about it. You can take me for an example. I had restaurants. I owned restaurants before I started doing what I do now, helping people find franchises. And one of my restaurants was a coffee shop. Okay, and it was a very successful coffee shop. Did about $1 million a year in sales. I had 12 employees that were great employees. They worked really hard, but quite frankly, I hated that coffee shop. Right? I hated getting out of bed, going there in the morning. I just didn't like it. I didn't know why. But after I got into franchising, doing what I do now, and using the CVI assessment, I took it. And I came back not recommended for retail. A coffee shop is a very retail-oriented type business, and I'm not the kind of guy who wants to sit behind a counter and wait for my customers to come to me. I'm that builder merchant, the one who wants to get out there and help other people kind of become the best person that they can be, and reach their goals. And that's why now, as a franchise consultant, I really have a lot of passion about what I do, because I found the right role that fits my personality and what I like to do, So that's the most important piece to finding the right business, in my opinion, is finding a role that's going to ensure that you're using your natural strengths, and kind of hiding your weaknesses as well too. So, of course, testimonials, I've worked with a lot of different people from a lot of different backgrounds and placed them in a lot of different franchises. Definitely please head to my website, www.globalfranchisesolutions.com. Take a minute to read through my testimonials. You can also check out my Facebook page, Twitter, they're all on there as well, too. I'd be happy to email you stuff, too. I've talked about before, I really take some time to get to know my clients, to get to know them really well, and take a real personal approach to what I do to help you find the right fit. And you can see for instance, from Megan, who ended up buying a Win Home Inspection, she mentions that I really took the time to get to know her. I wasn't pressuring her to buy a franchise. I was really just supporting her throughout the whole process. And that's really the approach that I try to take. So if you have any more questions or you're ready to get started, please reach out. My cell phone's 978-891-7145. Like I mentioned, you can definitely visit my website, globalfranchisesolutions.com, for some more info. And I look forward to continuing this journey with you. We got 3 more days going on here. Tomorrow we're going to jump into, which franchise is the right one for you. Like, how do you determine what the right business might be? So look for that in your inbox, and please reach out with any questions. Thanks.